Before her entire world turned upside down, Simona Halep was a top 10 player and consistent slam contender looking to add to her two major count. Life was good for the Romanian. She married a billionaire and she hired a renowned coach who helped reignite her passion for the sport. But that coaching hire inadvertently brought Halep some of the worst years of her life, completely re-altering both her career and reputation. Halep recently announced her retirement, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This has been one of the saddest career endings tennis has seen in a minute. But is Patrick Mouratoglou fully to blame for this? Hey, I'm Christian Bassnight, and welcome to Christian's Court, where I cover tennis from all angles. If you haven't yet already, make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell so you are notified whenever I post more tennis content like this. So yes, two-time major champion Simona Halep retired from professional tennis on Tuesday this week after losing to Lucia Bronzetti 6-1, 6-1 in the Transylvania Open first round. There's not really much to say about the match itself. It was pretty poor. Simona played terrible, and she kept framing all of her shots and looked far from her slam winning best. Halep, who's currently ranked 870th in the world, addressed her home Romanian crowd after making her retirement announcement, saying, "I don't know if it's with sadness or joy. I think I'm feeling both, but my soul is at peace with this decision, and I've always been realistic with myself. My body can no longer handle as much as it used to get me where I probably once was. It is very hard to reach that level, and I know what it takes to get there. That's why I wanted to be here today in Cluj to play in front of you and say goodbye on the tennis court, even if my performance wasn't great." This was expected, to be honest. The 33-year-old hinted at retirement days prior due to issues with her knee. That issue has plagued Halep since she returned to court from her doping ban at the Miami Open last year. She only played 6 matches total since her comeback, and she played a couple of tournaments in the Asian swing late last year. And she was set to play the qualifying at the Australian Open, but she withdrew due to both shoulder and knee concerns. Simona actually didn't even win a single match on the main WTA Tour since his comeback, and she scored just one win, which was at the WTA 125 level. And her last main tour win was at Cincinnati in 2022. Now, Halep has been dealing with this left leg injury for a minute. It first started in late 2021 as the issue forced her to pull out of the Linz semifinals, and then she also withdrew from a few events during the spring of 2022 because of this leg issue. The interesting thing is Halep was actually thinking of retiring back in February of 2022, but famous coach Patrick Mouratoglou inspired her to play on. But ironically, Patrick was the reason that her career ended this way, with her reputation tarnished. Patrick himself said that he was to blame for much of Halep's struggles in recent years, but before I delve into that, I want to briefly highlight how exactly Halep became a household name in the tennis world. Halep made her WTA main draw debut in 2010, and she started to steadily rise in the years following. In 2013, she had her first big breakthrough season, winning 6 titles this season alone, and she also finished the year ranked 11 in the world, and that earned her the WTA Most Improved Player of the Year honor too. 2014, though, established Halep as a consistent top player, and she first made her maiden slam final at Roland Garros, falling to Maria Sharapova in a 3-hour-plus thriller. She came close again to lifting that maiden slam 3 years later at Roland Garros, this time falling to the unseeded Elena Ostapenko in the finals, despite leading her by a set and a break. She still got to number 1 in the world later that year, and she finished runner-up at another slam, the 2018 Australian Open, where she lost another tight 3-setter. But Simona had a redemption moment in the next slam at Roland Garros, where she recovered from a set and a break down against Sloane Stephens to finally capture that maiden slam title. But Simona's second slam title at Wimbledon the following year was perhaps even more impressive, as the Romanian destroyed 7-time champion Serena Williams 6-2, 6-2 in 56 minutes, playing definitely the match of her life. Halep enjoyed relatively moderate success following that SW19 triumph, but she would never return to a slam final since. The first big turning point for the worse for Halep came in her opening round match at the Italian Open in 2021, where she tore a muscle in her left calf, and the injury sidelined Halep from both Roland Garros and Wimbledon, where she was still the defending champion since Wimbledon was not held in 2020 due to COVID. Those 2,000 points came right off, meaning Halep dropped outside the top 10 for the first time since January 2014. 2014. That also ended her streak of 373 consecutive weeks inside the top 10. Halep split from her longtime on and off again coach Darren Cahill after losing in the fourth round of the US Open that year, and she ultimately hired Patrick Mouratoglou in April 2022. Of course, Patrick is the former longtime coach of Serena Williams. Briefly talking about that Serena-Patrick split, Patrick gave Serena an ultimatum to return back to training, but she was still unsure of whether or not she wanted to even play tennis, so Patrick just moved on. Halep later revealed that again she was considering retirement in February of that year because she did not think that she had enough power to return inside the top 10. She said Patrick was the one who gave her the belief that she could return to the higher levels. So Halep gave herself the goal of returning to the top 10 within a year, and she went all in with Patrick. She relocated to Nice, France to be closer to Patrick's academy. She also fired her manager, Virginia Ruzici, and she appointed one of Mouratoglou's companions to manage her career instead. Halep also split from her husband, Tony Eric, just 11 months after they tied the knot. A few Romanian tabloids pointed to the Mouratoglou hire as that being the reason for Halep's marriage, not working out, but I don't think it was a matter of any infidelity there. I personally think that Eric possibly wanted to start a family with Halep and settle down a little bit sooner, but once Simo hired Patrick, she went all in on her career, which might have caused some friction. Halep and Mouratoglou's partnership was also under scrutiny around the time of the 2022 Roland Garros Championships, where Simona suffered a panic attack during her second round loss to Xin Wenjiang. Patrick took responsibility for the loss, going on social media to make an interesting post where he said that Halep's recent results were insufficient for someone of Simona Halep's caliber and that he takes full responsibility for them. A lot of people found that post a little bit strange and unnecessary, but Halep did indeed earn better results soon after. She reached the 2022 Women's semifinals, and she also won her 24th and final WTA title at the Toronto 1000. Unfortunately, everything went downhill for the Romanian after this. She fell in the opening round of the US Open to 124th ranked qualifier Daria Sneager, but Halep suffered a bigger loss during this tournament as she tested positive for a banned substance, Roxadustat, during the US Open. Roxadustat is commonly used to treat symptoms of anemia caused by chronic kidney failure, but it's also been used by cyclists and distance runners to boost their stamina. Halep was provisionally suspended in October 2022, and she maintained that she was innocent and that the positive result was due to contamination of a collagen supplement. But Halep's living nightmare got worse when the ITIA handed her a 4-year ban after repeatedly delaying her case. According to the ITIA, an investigation detected alleged irregularities in Simona's biological athlete passport, which led them to suspect Halep had been blood doping even before that positive Roxadustat test. The ITIA also found it hard to believe that the levels of Roxadustat in her body could have come from a contaminated collagen, as Halep alleged. Patrick Mouratoglou soon after came out and said that he felt responsible for this whole doping saga because he and his team gave Halep the contaminated collagen. Halep said that she is not in contact with Mouratoglou, but she has always maintained that Patrick never manipulated her nor intentionally gave her that supplement. Rather, it just was a mistake. Simona mainly has beef with the ITIA, the International Tennis Integrity Agency, for dragging the case out for so long and trying to get her banned for 4 years. Both Mouratoglou and Halep said that she is a victim of harassment by the ITIA. You even had Halep's former coach, Darren Cahill, and her ex-husband, Tony Eric, come to her defense and say that she would never intentionally cheat. But regardless of the circumstances, once you test positive for doping, your reputation will never be the same. Halep was given that cheater and doper title by a lot of tennis fans, and Serena Williams even shaded Simona, tweeting 8 is a better number anyways, hinting at that 2019 Wimbledon Finals loss, as Williams was going for her 8th title at SW19. In March 2024, the Court of Arbitration of Sport finally cleared Halep to play after 17 months of inactivity. They were satisfied that Halep did not intentionally take the banned substance. CAS also disregarded the blood doping charge and ruled that a medical procedure Halep underwent around the time of the ban was responsible for the irregularities found in her samples. But unfortunately for Simona, she could not take advantage of that ban reduction as the leg injury worsened with age. I don't think that Halep would win a slam regardless of this whole doping saga. The field just was a lot stronger with the likes of Iga, Arena, Coco, and Elena Rybakina improving amongst other top players who had more firepower than she did. And I also think that she'd still be in the spot of retiring around the time that she ultimately had due to her injuries and body just starting to give her more fit due to her older age and just her physical style of gameplay. But I still think Simona had around a good year or so of playing high-level tennis, as she was still in the top 10 at the time of the ban. People can believe whatever they want, but I personally do not believe Halep intentionally doped. We can agree to disagree on that one. It is ironic too to me that she was so outspoken against players like Maria Sharapova receiving wild cards after they received doping bans, but she dealt with the whole doping saga herself. And I know Halep also recently expressed frustration that her case was handled so differently compared to Yannick Sinner and more recently Iga Swiatek, who comparatively got slaps on the wrist for their positive doping test. But kind of looking at this from a glass half full perspective, I think people will view Halep more as like a victim of this. Again, after Iga and Yannick were given lighter sentences. And I think less people would think of her, as just a cheater, seeing as though it is in the realm of possibility for players to get contaminated, as has been happening at a more high profile level more frequently in the past year or so. I just think it's so crazy that literally this coaching situation, it revived her and revitalized her career, gave her something more to play for, but yet it effectively ended it. And it left her probably in a worse spot compared to if she had just retired before she partnered with Patrick to begin with in 2022. So it's just an unfortunate situation for Simona, and I know these past few years have not been easy for her. But regardless, I think that Halep has had a great career. Nobody can take away the fact that she won 2 slams, and even though I am a fan of both Sloane Stephens and Serena Williams, she deserved those wins. She played great tennis in both Roland Garros and that Wimbledon final, and for sure, Halep is one of the biggest defining players of the late 2010s, and I think that she will be a Hall of Famer for sure. And I just wish her all the best in this next chapter of her career. Do you feel bad for Simona Halep? Let me know in the comments. And also, do you believe that Patrick is responsible for her career ending like this? And then last question, do you believe that she will end up being inducted into the International Tennis Hall of Fame? Again, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell so you're notified whenever I post more tennis content like this. Thank you all so much for watching and for supporting me, and I'll see you all next time here on Christian's Court.